Alright folks, so this is one of the easiest problem from Codeforces. Let's try to understand this real quick and let's solve this and get this right. Okay, problem is watermelon, and yeah, here we go. One hot summer day, Pete and his friend Billy decided to buy a watermelon. They choose the biggest and the rippest one in their opinion. After that, the watermelon was weighed and the scales showed W kilos. Okay, so yeah, this W over here, we can consider this and we can treat this as a variable and just keep this in the back of our head. We'll use this later obviously in our program. Alright, so yeah, there's this W kilos. Okay, there's this W kilos, the W variable, which is representing the weight of the watermelon. They rushed home dying of thirst and decided to divide the berry. However, they faced a problem. Pete and Billy are great fans of even numbers. Okay, that's why they want to divide the watermelon in such a way that each of the two parts weigh even number of kilos. So yeah, here's this explains a lot. Okay, this basically statement is giving us lots and lots of informations. See guys, in Codeforces and competitive programming in general, you need to, I suggest each one of you that you just have to read each and every word, each and every line, and you just have to focus on word to word. Okay, because in these problem statements only, they provide like all the data to us. Okay, we need to understand this, and then we need to convert it into the algorithmic and the calculations part, and then we need to apply that to our program. Okay, so let's read this again and let's calculate all the data from here, and then let's proceed. Okay, so the condition here is basically, here's the condition giving. Okay, whatever the condition you're going to apply in your code. Okay, so this is the condition over here. The condition is they want to divide the watermelon in such a way. They will divide it, they will cut it, and there will be two pieces remaining of the watermelon after they divide the watermelon. Okay, so in such a way, and what is the condition over here? That each of the two parts, the two parts that the watermelon is cutted to, okay, the two parts should weigh even numbers of kilos. Okay, so just imagine this is that watermelon. Okay, obviously this is of W kilos. Okay, and imagine they have cutted this watermelon into two pieces obviously. So the condition over here is that these two parts, let's consider the weight of this part to be X, and let's consider this to be Y. Okay, so the thing is that the X and Y should be even. Okay, let's read it again. Divide the watermelon in such a way that each of the two parts weighs even number of kilos. Okay, so if this is 2, so this should be 2 or 4 or 6, 8, so on and so forth. Okay, if this is 3 and this is 4, so no, this is wrong over here. Okay, so this is the condition we need to apply over here. Okay, so the boys are extremely tired and want to start the meal as soon as possible. Okay, that's why you should help them find out if they can divide the watermelon in the way they want. Okay, so yeah, in the way, what is that way that they want to divide that watermelon? That condition is already I've explained to you. Okay, this is the condition. Okay, so basically this condition should be satisfied to that particular weight of that complete watermelon. Okay, so now let's understand the input part, what the input is going to be of our code. So yeah, simple. The first line of the input, and this is the only line we should accept the input in, and that input will be W. Obviously, as I told you in this particular in explaining this particular line, that you should keep this variable in your head. Okay, because we're going to use this variable W to accept slash input the weight of the watermelon. Okay, the weight of the watermelon bought by the boys. Okay, so now what should be the expected output over here? So let's read this. We need to print yes. Okay, if the boys can divide that watermelon into two parts, each of them weighing even number of kilos, and no, yeah, if this is not satisfying. Okay, here's an example. The input was 8, so the output came yes. So let's if we try to decode it, so yeah, as you can see clearly, if imagine this complete watermelon, if it is weighing 8 kilograms. Okay, so yeah, the answer was yes, because yeah, if this is even, so it is pretty obvious that we can divide this watermelon in such a way that the two cutted parts are weighing in even numbers. Okay, and what are the possibilities if you'll ask me? So this X and Y, they can be 4 4. Okay, they can be 4 kilos. So yeah, the, like, if I ask you that whether the condition is satisfying or not, so yeah, the condition is satisfying, right? Both of them are what, both of them, they are even. Okay, and the another possibility, it can be 2 6. Okay, so yeah, this could be, this particular part could be 6 kilos and this particular part could be 2 kilos. Here as well the condition is satisfying. All right, but say if I give something like 5 kilos. Okay, if the value of w is 5, then in this case it is not possible. Okay, so I hope guys you have understood the problem. Okay, so directly let's get right into the code part. Okay, and let's start writing the code. Okay, and then we'll figure it out on the way. I would urge you to just open this custom invocation, or feel free to open your any code editor you want. So yeah guys, I'm using C++ as my language. Feel free to use any language you want. Okay, so basically I'm writing the boilerplate code over here. Our first task was to input this. Okay, we have to input the w, the weight of the watermelon. Okay, so yeah, let's initialize the variable. Okay, input it, and yeah, here we go, we have the weight of the watermelon. The very first condition that we should apply over here, that like I was explaining over here, that if I ask you that the weight is 7 kg. Okay, so you're saying, right, that this is not possible to divide this, and basically the condition is not satisfying over here. So how are you able to tell this? Because you're seeing this number, the weight of the watermelon is odd. So if obviously the weight is an odd number, so yeah, it is not possible, right? So now, yeah, here we go. We got our programmatical condition to write, and that is basically we are going to use the modulus operator over here, and we will basically check that whether this weight is even or not. Okay, okay. Obviously, if it is divisible by 2, if it is completely divisible by 2, then yeah. But hold on guys, there's one more condition, and basically one more edge case that we need to handle over here. And that is basically, if I say, ask you, like if I give you the weight of the watermelon as 2. Okay, so yeah, what was the condition, what was the scenario going up till here, that okay, if I give you any odd number. Okay, any odd number, so you will say no, it is not possible, which is pretty obvious. Okay, which is correct. But there's one edge case over here, there's one exception, or in our language, there's an edge case over here, that see, if the weight is 2. Okay, if the weight of the watermelon is 2, indeed it is, the weight is even. Okay, but if you try to split this, okay, so like obviously if you try to split this into equal parts, say for example, so the value will be 1 and 1. But here you can see the condition, basically our condition is failing, because what was our condition? Don't forget that our situation and our condition was, the boys can divide the watermelon into two parts, each of them weighing even number of kilos. Okay, so you need to keep this particular data over here in your mind, that the two equal parts should be even number of kilos. Okay, so yeah, we need to just handle this edge case over here. So just we need to add up a condition, that okay, yeah, first, the very first thing, that okay, if it is even, then it is easily splittable into two even part. That's why this condition. But we are handling just one edge case over here, that is basically the weight like should not be equal to 2, or in general you can write this as the weight should be greater than 2. Okay, and yeah, here we go. If this condition fulfills, if this condition satisfies, so yeah, simple. What was our task? Our expected output was that to print yes if this condition is satisfying. Okay, so yeah, we are simply just going to, like basically just see out this. Okay, and we are basically going to see out yes, and yeah, just go on this. Yeah, just the escape sequence character. And yeah guys, make sure you if you're using using namespace std over here, then yeah, the program will run now. But yeah, if you're not using it, so just make sure to import that from the standard over here, the standard namespace. Yeah, this as well. Okay, now basically it's time to run this particular code. Okay, first of all, just make sure you go over here and select your desired language. Okay, I will go with GNU G++, basically the compiler. Okay, for your program. And here's the input section. So first, go on and give the input. Let's give 8 as the input. Okay, and let's run the file. You'll be able to see that it's taking some time. Okay, and yeah, as you can see, the answer came yes. Okay, we didn't handle the no case over here, so basically we need to write a else statement over here as well, that if this condition is not satisfying, so just simply print no. Okay, just make sure to give std over here. And yeah, now let's run this, and you'll be able to see that for the input 23, it is going to spit out the output as no. Okay, as you can clearly see. So I guess guys, we are going correct so far now, and now it's time to submit this. Okay, I would urge you to just completely select this and copy, head over to this submit code section, and yeah, just select the problem. Okay, the problem is watermelon. Just select the compiler/language, whatever the code you have copied, just paste it over here, and then let's submit it. Okay, and then let's just wait for some time, as you can see, accepted came already. I would urge you to just refresh the page, okay, and yeah, already it came. So yeah, I already did this, okay. As you can see, the code is accepted. Now you can click over to this particular your submission ID, and then you can check, okay. Then you can check, okay, these were all the inputs and edge cases basically given to your code, and your program performed perfect, okay. So yeah, all the input, all the test cases, okay, all the test cases passed. So yeah, and it is showing accepted, okay. So yeah, what are you waiting for? Just go on and start solving these problems and continue slash start your competitive programming journey, right?